Welcome to Leadership on the Leading Edge, the inner game of lasting success. I'm Kara Schug, here with Dr. Ron Stotts, and together we're exploring what it really takes for high achievers and visionary leaders to move beyond outer success into deeper fulfillment, conscious leadership, and lasting impact.
Yeah, and in this series, we're going to go beyond strategies and surface fixes. We're going to expose the hidden patterns that keep leaders trapped in cycles of burnout, pressure, and overdrive. More importantly, we'll show you how to transform those patterns so that success comes from a place of peace, creativity, and authenticity.
Each episode blends real client stories, cutting edge research, and practical tools that you can use immediately. So, whether you're leading a company, a team, or simply your own life, these conversations will give you the inner game advantage.
Yeah. So let's dive into today's episode Beyond IQ, Why the Future of Leadership Belongs to Conscious, Whole Brain Thinkers.
So, today we're looking at what might be the most important shift happening in leadership right now, and that's moving beyond IQ into conscious whole brain leadership.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. For decades, success was measured by IQ, intelligence, logic, problem solving. But today, that's just no longer enough. The challenge, the challenges for leaders today, that what they face is, they're required to be creative, resilient, emotionally intelligent, and have a vision. And those come from engaging the whole brain, the whole self. I remember back in the day, the creative department was down in the basement and you could hardly find it because it was in a little closet of a room. And now the creativity is really the CEO, that's most CEOs say creativity is one of the most valuable things that we can have. So to be able to access that creativity, you literally need to develop integrated whole brain thinking, which requires neurological rewiring of the brain. So that's what we're
Do
doing.
they have to have surgery for that?
No, just the breathing actually allows you to conduct that surgery in a sense. It really does. It allows you to rewire in a very comfortable and actually exciting way.
I would agree with that statement very much. So the three levels of awareness that people deal with on this topic.
Well, we're aware of how outer circumstances, we're aware of what we're feeling, we're aware of, what's predominantly in our attention span. And those are usually just symptoms. But we're also somewhat aware of maybe I'm having an effect on others, or maybe these circumstances are related to what I'm feeling. And so, gee, I need to either step back or center myself more, but that somewhat awareness is really not ever touching the subconscious awareness that we need so that we can truly recognize what it is we're at the effect of. I've shared it before that when clients come to me in that discovery call, they are always talking about these outer things, the outer things that they're looking to resolve, the outer things that they're trying to do to resolve those outer problems. And it doesn't take much for them to then begin to recognize, oh, those outer issues, those challenges, those problems that I'm experiencing, that the organization is experiencing, it really is just symptomatic and indicators of an inner challenge that I haven't taken the time to look at. And again, people might go, "Oh my God, I don't want to do that," but there's your opportunity. That's those inner challenges and the opportunity to see those, nothing but an indicator that you're ready to evolve. And and that's your opportunity. That's called true leadership.
There you go. There you go. And this shows up in very real ways.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel like overthinking, constant tension, being unable to rest, lack of sleep. They live in their heads. They're disconnected from a deeper level of wisdom. They're not, they're trying to be in control, which is just shutting them down, rather than discover what real control looks like, which is, being open. Yeah.
And in our world today, we're in 2025, and that old style of command and control leadership, it, it it's like finally everyone realized that the emperor has no clothes. No, almost no one will put up with it. Now at the really high levels, that's when they've got you because they have you convinced that you can't go anywhere else and make 500,000 a year. You're stuck here. Well, let me tell you, if you're making $500,000 a year, you can go do something for yourself, your own business, and be making more than $1 million a year. So that fear-based things, they're stuck in their old patterns, and you need to go find someplace else to be.
Yeah, yeah. The world has changed. It really has. I remember back in the 80s when I was executive VP of Intergame Corporation, we were working, helping AT&T transform their monopoly into five for-profit organizations. Government had instructed them to do that. And it was just amazing to watch that top-down leadership struggle, to let go of that was almost impossible. And of course, that opened them up to competition, and it just didn't work. What had worked before wasn't working to get them to where they needed to get to now, and that's a classic pattern that we see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's bring this home for you. This is workshop style. We do it in all of them.
All right, everybody. Big breath in, stirring with the exhale, saying and completing. When I rely on logic, big breath in, saying and completing. When I rely on logic, maybe initially looking at how that works, but then being a bit more vulnerable and open, looking deeper. Oh, maybe sometimes it doesn't work. Maybe it's not enough. Big breath in. When I rely on logic, what are the limitations of that? What are the shortcomings? Big breath in, saying and completing. When I rely only on logic. In other words, there's a lot more available. That's just you're just accessing a little bit of information, the logic part. Want to rely only on logic. Finish that up with that. Let's move into the next sentence.
Okay. Take another good deep breath in. My creativity emerges when. Okay. Again. My creativity emerges when. Nobody can see you guys. Breathe really deep. Close your eyes. My creativity emerges when.
When do you feel most creative? When do the wonderful ideas come forward?
Breathe in. My creativity emerges when. Last time here. My creativity shows up when.
And let's just move into the next breath, taking a big breath in and saying, completing, if what I'm saying is true, big breath in, saying and completing, if what I'm saying is true, then what? Big breath in. If what I'm saying is true, finishing that up. Not from what you know, not from your head, not just let that editor take a break and look deeper. Bringing that subconscious awareness into your conscious. That's where the growth is going to happen. Big breath in. If what I'm saying is true,
Good. You guys are doing great. You're killing it. Your subconscious has been dying to talk to you and you are listening. So take a good deep breath in. Intuition tells me. Again. My intuition tells me. Good. You're doing so good. Intuition tells me. Last time, really good deep breath in. My intuition tells me.
breathing in, during with each exhale, saying and completing the sentence. Whole brain leadership feels like, in other words, if you're coming from a confident, authentic place, what's that leadership look like? Breathing in, saying and completing. Whole brain leadership feels like, maybe use the word conscious leadership. Big breath in. Conscious leadership feels like, big breath in. Conscious leadership feels like, one more time on your own. Big breath in. Conscious leadership feels like, you see how you begin to look deeper with each one? Just let that logic editor take a break and look deeper with each one. And you can use this throughout your day, every day, just to find out what's underneath something that's going on at work, at your home, within yourself, within others. Great tool. So really understand that this is not just a temporary little thing for now. This is a tool for your life.
Guys, our genuine hope for each and every one of you is that as we're doing these and you're completing these sentences, there's 10 of these. So if you're just catching one of them, we have 10 and it's leads you down a path. But if you're doing this, that you are understanding things that you have known all of your life, but you didn't know you knew because they were in your subconscious. And there's so much in that treasure chest. And so that's what this does. These answers, they show you the hidden cost of staying in your head, assuming that you're playing full out and you're doing this. You will have realizations every single time that you do this, and you can do it. And we have workbooks and all kinds of cool stuff to help you. And so that is our desire for you, and we want you to open your heart and your mind up to having whole brain thinking.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk about our work in a lot of different ways, but one is certainly neurologically rewiring the brain, because that's really what it comes down to. And, how that happens is, if you have a noisy mind, that's pretty difficult to do. So that's really, as you breathe, as you explore, and you become more self-aware, and you shift that unconscious, subconscious information into conscious so that you can do something about it. And as you heal those patterns, those old limiting beliefs and such, then the mind literally gets quieter. The left brain and right brain, the big picture, more spontaneous right brain starts connecting with the left brain's logical, optimal thinking abilities, and they start really being an amazing team. And in that quieting of the mind, because there's less stress and struggle and subconscious noise, the forebrain, the prefrontal cortex, begins to take over as a conscious CEO of your life that's intended to be. And there you have that big picture awareness. You have what I call integrated whole brain, neurologically rewired, integrated whole brain thinking. And that allows you to just a tremendous amount more access to your imagination, creativity, intuition, and so much more. So neuroscience shows that when we engage that forebrain, the prefrontal cortex that I mentioned, and the networks connected to it, creativity, resilience, visionary thinking increase dramatically. And those are what you need to be the conscious CEO, the successful CEO, the successful leader that you truly are capable of being. Those are the qualities of leadership that we need most today.
And guys, research from Heart Math and a lot of different institutes shows the
Mhm.
coherence, and that's when your brain and your heart and your nervous system are all aligned. It improves innovation, adaptability, and decision making. And this isn't just philosophy, it's measurable, science backed leadership.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to go right back into another sentence finish here. You know how to do it. Dr. Ron, kick us off.
Yeah, and keep in mind, again, the sentence completion is to bring what we've been talking about into a reality for you to look deeper. This is very, absolutely connected so that you're involved and growing from what we're talking about, not just listening. So this first sentence is, if I trusted my big mind, meaning that more relaxed mind, that more intuitive, aware mind, how would things be different? You know, rather than struggling and stressing and coming from a place of fear and disconnection. So take a big breath in during and with the exhale, saying and completing. If I trusted my big mind, how would that look different in your life? How might that be more supportive for yourself and others? Big breath in. If I trusted my big mind, what would happen? How might your life be different? How might like the lives of your organization, your family be different? Taking a big breath in. During and with the exhale, saying and completing, if I trusted my big mind, looking deeper, not just the conscious. I know what you know already, but what you're not aware of that you know. And again, taking a big breath in and on your own, if I trusted, looking deeper, deeper, always deeper, like the steps.
Another good deep breath in. My best ideas come to me when. Good, good, good. Breathe, breathe, breathe. My best ideas come to me when. My best ideas come to me when. My best ideas come to me when. Last time. And this time, I'm going to give you a suggestion you might want to finish it with. My best ideas come to me when I'm breathing and present.
Let's move into the third one. Just again, taking a big breath in, saying and completing the sentence during and with your exhale. Big breath in, saying and completing, I'm becoming aware that visionary leadership requires. Big breath in. During and with the exhale, I'm becoming aware visionary leadership requires deeper and deeper. Be more and more honest with yourself. It really takes a letting go, becoming more vulnerable and open. Big breath in. I'm becoming aware visionary leadership requires. Good. Now, one more big breath in, and I want you to finish that on your own. I'm becoming aware. Way to go.
Right. Last one. Take a good deep breath in. Expanding my consciousness means, again, expanding my consciousness means, expanding my consciousness means just being more conscious. Expanding my consciousness means, okay, you're doing great. One more time. Breathe in, go deep. Expanding my consciousness means, all right. So notice how those statements feel in your body. This is where leadership is headed.
And I want you to make sure we all understand that our level of consciousness, that means we're more aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what state of consciousness or awareness that we're in at any given time. So your state of consciousness determines how you see, experience, and react to everything that comes into your life. So if you're finding yourself overreacting or emotionally reacting, that's one way to do it. But if you're more conscious, you're going to react from a more present, curious, conscious place. And, you know, say you're trying to resolve an issue, solve a problem, and you were struggling to find the answer. The truth is, all you need to do is breathe and let yourself access more of who and what you are. Move into a higher state of consciousness, and you'll recognize, oh, there's that answer that I'm looking for. So your state of consciousness determines your experience of life, determines who you are. So this is something that certainly regulates not only your leadership, but your entire life. All right. So let's just the basic question here might be how do leaders move from IQ into conscious leadership, whole brain leadership? What would you say step one is, Kara?
Well, to integrate mindfulness, emotional intelligence practices, right? It's a practice. You have to make a habit of it. You've got to rewire your brain for presence and awareness. You have to, as Dr. Ron has drilled into my head, you have to be present, you have to be breathing, and you have to be curious. And if you can keep that top of mind, and just when you realize, I'm not feeling good right now. This is something I am. You get in that state, guys, just take a good deep breath. Take a couple of them. And you might even want to implement Mel Robbins 5 4 3 2 1. It'll take you out of that not powerful part and it'll open it up. So I would say that would be step one.
So that 5 4 3 2 1 allows you to stop for a moment, to breathe and be present enough to be aware of what's next. That's a great idea. Yeah. So step two is really where you're healing the limiting beliefs and fears that keep you stuck in survival mode. You know, and without doing that inner work, your old wiring will just keep pulling you back. What we're really talking about, when I talk about becoming more self-aware, I'm really talking about stepping into your subconscious thoughts and allowing those, opening those up to become conscious so that you can deal with them and not be at the effect of them any longer. That's simply what the journey is about.
It's really not as complicated as you think. It's really not, especially when you have a great guide to guide you through it. I would say the third step is engaging both sides of the brain and the frontal lobe. And with logic, with intuition, all that stuff, creative practices like the one that is in one of your programs that I took, where guys, this is brilliant. It is hilarious at first. So if you are right-handed, you want to take your left hand and take your pencil, and you want to draw your right hand. But you can't look at what you're drawing. You have to just look at your hand. And the first few are are just, but guys, it's a really cool. Why does that work? What does that do?
Well, you're recognizing how little trust you have in different aspects of your brain. And in doing the exercise, you're beginning to trust them. It's not a drawing contest. It's not a drawing exercise at all. It's really a practice of you know if you do that, you'll recognize in a very short amount of time that oh, that right brain really has a big picture awareness of what it might not look exactly like my hand, but I've seen, we used to do, when I was co-director of the Brain Integration Center, we'd do a drawing workshop, and people would recognize, on day two, day three, especially, but they'd recognize they could take what they were drawing and not looking at, they weren't looking at their paper when they were doing it. But their right brain, they could take the teapot or whatever it might be, and they could put it over their drawing, and it structurally and size-wise was exactly the same. That right brain just has amazing. I remember watching one gal, she was drawing her husband's face, and as she got to the eyes, the first one you could tell her husband was looking out at her. Just you could just tell. And these people are not artists. They've never done anything like that. But when she got to the other eye, you could tell that he was thinking inwardly. So even the subtleties of that, the right brain was aware of that. And this was somebody who, had no awareness of art whatsoever in the beginning. So yeah, so
Gosh,
let's go into step four. Step four is really you're going to find that leads you not only to your bigger picture, clarity of what your life's about and what's important, what your purpose is in life, and and it leads from values. That purpose gives you that compass heading we talked about. That it comes compass heading really like where am I going, and the clarity of that will lead you there. When your leadership is aligned with your deeper self, creativity and resilience become your natural state.
So when leaders do this, they stop leading from fear or control. And if they're not leading themselves, how impactful, how powerful can they be? Haven't you worked for people in the past that you're like, you don't have your stuff together. Why should I listen to you? And you think that you have it hidden. You think that nobody can tell. People can tell. And so I think that you'll feel more aligned as a leader when you do this. You'll be more peaceful, way more energized. And you also discover a sense of meaning in your life that you never even knew was possible.
I remember when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to work for a boatyard. I'm a big boat fan, so that was a big thing for me. Wasn't hardly making any money, but and one day, where they were building the smaller ones, the 23-foot sailboats, and I just felt like things weren't very ordered, and so one lunch I took a legal pad and I walked around, and I'm not really thinking about it, but I really created an assembly line. So all the tools that you needed at each step were there, and everything all the materials and everything were where they needed to be. So people weren't running all over and wasting time and trying to find things. And I just, at the end of lunch, I went into my boss's office, and he was having lunch with the owner. He had come over from the main plant, and I kind of, oh, sorry, I didn't, mean to bother you, but they supported me in sharing, and literally the next day, uh, I became, the leader of that plant. I remember a big limousine pulling up in front of the plant, and here I am, kind of in my grubby clothes, and then jumping in that limo and going over and being in a meeting with people who all of them had been with the company at least 20 or 30 years, and I'd been with them, months. And, but that they saw the leadership, and that leadership came from not arrogance or trying and efforting. It was just like, you know, intuitive common sense. I remember years and years later, I was just moved to LA, and I'd given up my practice down in the San Diego area. I'd graduated and got my PhD, and so I was moving up into the LA area. And I was staying at a friend's house, and he was having a party. I'm not much of a party guy, but there I was. So, and I was walking into the kitchen, and there was two guys talking on either side of the door, and I heard the challenge that they were trying to figure out for some kind of workshop or something they were doing. And on my way out, I just shared a process that they could use that would solve their problem. And they kind of like, well, who are you? And I shared who I was and what I was doing. And literally the following week, I became executive vice president of Intergame Corporation, working with AT&T. So you can be an accidental leader in the clumsy sort of way I have been, but you can also be that conscious leader who really, allows those intuitive best decisions, best insights to come out all the time, literally all the time. Yeah. So professionally, you become the leader of the future, visionary, adaptable, innovative, you know. And I watch my clients really, create cultures that thrive, organizations that grow, and legacies that last. That's leadership on the leading edge. I worked with a guy really, pretty steady for about a year, but then only off and on. And about 2 months ago, it'd be about 5 years from when we first met, he flew me down to San Francisco to help him. He was going through this big launch and dealing with a lot of challenges, and he's doing so well. I mean, he's a brilliant guy, but he's also really become the epitome of a conscious leader. But he was still interested in evolving. And that's what fascinated me. Everybody usually they 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 evolve to this point and go, okay, oh, this is good enough, or maybe that point later. But this guy recognized that, oh, being a leader is really about continuing to evolve all the time. And it's so exciting to just nudge him up to that next level of consciousness, to help him envision and trust what he's been creating, and know that he can launch this. And of course, he accomplished all of that and is, back into the flow and going really well. So it's
It's
exciting.
wonderful. Every genuinely, hugely successful person that I know, and I define success maybe a little different than other people do. It's not just about the money, guys. Everyone that I know, they learn, and then they it's almost like they fill up, their room fills up, and they get up to here and they open up the trap door and they're like, oh my gosh, they're a much bigger room, and you get to learn all that, and you get to learn all that. That you will never be bored from learning. It is constantly changing, and it is so much fun to grow and to learn and to become all you can be. And that's what we're here for you, so that you will take this information, that you'll use it, that you'll go home and you'll breathe through these. You can watch them. They're right there on YouTube. You can go back to them. And when you get brave, and you really get brave, like it's such a big deal, I'm going to have a phone call with someone. Then it's not even, it's a phone call. It's not just a phone call. It's a Zoom call. So it is a little bit more intimidating, but, but anyway, we would absolutely love to have you join either one of us, and we'll help you. What will we help them do?
Well, the truth is, everybody comes in and, they've been focused on these outer symptoms of the problem. What they don't recognize, and is that the real problem is a house on fire problem, not a leaky faucet problem. Leaky faucet, you can go, well, I'll put a bucket under it and get back to it next week. House on fire, you've got to react and you've got to take action. And when you look at what the costs of not doing this work, when you look at the financial, the health, the relational, the organizational developmental costs for not taking care of that house on fire issue, and recognizing and really embracing, oh yeah, this is a serious issue that's costing me a lot. I need to do something about it. That takes courage, and that's where you have to be, and commit to really jumping in, because that's, you know, coming from that place is going to allow you to really identify what's holding you back, and you're going to see the cost of that. And you're also going to see where you want to get to, and the dream come true. And so it's just identifying that gap in between and going, okay, well, let's move you through that to get you to where you want to go. And it works every time. I mean, I've been doing this a very long time, and it literally works every time. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. And guys, just remember, you're obviously very smart. You wouldn't be here if you weren't already very intelligent. However, intelligence alone, it will not carry you into the future. So you need to engage your whole brain, your whole heart, your whole being. And that is how you unlock the creativity and the resilience and the vision that tomorrow's leaders really need. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we wish you the best life you could ever dream of.
Yeah. Take a look at those discovery call links and give us a call. Do really, truly appreciate you taking the time to take care of yourself and explore this with us. Thank you. Bye-bye.